Good morning, everyone. If you didn't notice, there are brand new name tags for all members, staff, emerits, which is the gender neutral for emeriti, and most registered children in our program as well have name tags. And there'll be more information about that later. So check on these tables if you haven't gotten yours.
Good morning, and welcome for the first time to our Sunday morning service at the Unitarian Universalist congregation in the Assabet Valley. A welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Brendon Chetwynd, and I serve as the board president here at UUCAV, or UUCAV. I'm not sure we've settled on that one yet. For those visiting this congregation for the first time, we welcome you. Our congregation is a merger of two congregations, the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton and the Unitarian Church of Marlborough and Hudson. And if you're visiting on our first Sunday together since the merger, please let us know you were here by filling out one of the visitor information cards in the pews and hand it to an usher or drop it in the plate. Our minister, board, and staff are listed on the order of service. Please feel free to ask me or any of these people for more information. If you would like a large print order of service or hymnal or an assisted listening device, please ask our ushers. Our assisted listening devices are actually small radios. Anyone is welcome to use one of these to listen to the service from another space in or around our building. I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements in your order of service and also invite you to check out our webpage for more information, which is www.uucav.org. You can also sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts. After the service, please join us for refreshments and conversation in our fellowship hall, which is one level down at the other end of our building, or in a breakout room if you're joining us online. And now, let us come together for a time of community, worship, and music.
Our opening words are Thresholds by Arlen Goff. Thresholds, we cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life, pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls, come, let us worship together. I invite forward Cynthia, Menard, Brendon, Chetwynd, Morgan Wilson, and Lindsay LaPointe, who will do our chalice lighting this morning. You have one.
And then read?
I guess.
Okay. Across the generations, we have carried the flame. We fought the injustice, sang the songs, spoke for truth, and built something lasting. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we are attending the flame. Hand in hand together, we share the work of fighting injustice, singing the songs, speaking the truth. And we are here to build something lasting. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we have been nourished by this flame. We are singing new songs, breaking old barriers, sharing in the work. And as we find our own space in what has been, we are here to make space for the next person as well. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, this flame comes to us. We are here for the songs, for the justice, for the community sharing the work. We are here now, too, to build something new and lasting. We are ready for a new day together. We join in the line and carry the flame forward.
Please rise now in body or in spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 347, in your gray hymnals, Gather the Spirit.
Our new congregation is still growing into who we are. And so we have not yet defined our covenant. Today, we will explore the covenants we each have had in the past in a combined way. Please join me in reading the words in your order of service. Love is the spirit and doctrine of the church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service its law and prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another to the end of all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine.
So we now want to invite the children and youth forward along with their parents for a time for all ages. And while they came forward, two things for you to do. One, if you did not pick up a name tag for yourself, we invite you to do so. They're on these tables over here where we have name tags for our members and staff and emeritus and some of our registered children, although we may have missed some on that list. If you do not have a name tag but would like a name tag, there are some blank name tags over here on the tech table. You can fill one out, and if you leave it in the basket at the end of coffee hour, or leave it with me before you leave the sanctuary, we will try and get you a permanent name tag within the next 2 months. Meg, our administrator, has reduced hours during the week in the summer, and so she really has only enough time to answer your many questions and to make the order of service. And that's kind of it for the summer. So it may be fall before we get you those new name tags, but this is a process by which you can get one. At the end of the service, check your name tag. If on the back it has your name, you're all set. You can put it in the name tag rack that's across from the elevator on the second entry-level floor of our building. If you do not have your name on the back, if you put it in the name tag rack, it'll go in such that you won't be able to find it again because there'll just be a blank space there. And so you need to get your name to put on the back. I have stickers over here, and I'll be sitting there cutting them out for you. It'll be a slow process, so be patient, but I can get you one. Or, yes, you could just write your name. If you have neat printing and would like to just write your name, you may also just do that. And it doesn't matter which end. Okay? Now, if you don't have a name tag to deal with, because you already got yours, greet your neighbor. If you know that you are a member and you didn't find your name tag, I assure you it's there. They're not in perfect alphabetical order, but they are in rough alphabetical order. Like all the F's are together, all the M's are kind of together, but then sometimes they get shuffled up. Why can't, that's weird, the light was on. If you did not find your name tag, but you know that you are a member, you signed the book, you voted in the last congregational meeting, then there is a name tag for you. You just haven't found it, I swear. They're in rough but not perfect alphabetical order. Message for all ages. This is Cynthia Menard, our new Spiritual Growth and Community Center Director.
Good morning. Well, I was hunting for today's Time for All Ages, and for some reason today, for those of you who are story-focused, I was moved to share a poem. I don't know why, but my heart said poem today. And, you know, I was really intrigued to discover as I went through resources and websites that, boy, we love to explore endings. We love to explore how things end and why and the transitions that we go through and develop. But we're past that. We did it, right? Yay! So we want beginnings. It was much harder to find something about beginnings, but I did. And I found this really cool poem, which is called In the Kitchen. It's a simple poem. And the place I found it had a few things woven into it. And I'm going to share those with you because of the impact they had on me. The author is Killian MacDonald, and it's introduced with a fragment of the beginning of the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verse 26, which reads, "In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel," and the poem begins. Bellini had it wrong. I was not kneeling on my satin cushion in a beam of light, head slightly bent. Painters always skew the scene as though my life were wrapped in silks, in temple smells. Actually, I had just come back from the well. Placing the pitcher on the table, I bumped against the edge, spilling water on the floor. As I bent to wipe it up, there was a light against the kitchen wall, as though someone had opened the door to the sun. Rag in hand, hair across my face, I turned to see who was entering, unannounced, uninvited. All I saw was light, white against the timbers. I heard a voice I had never heard before. I heard a greeting. I was elected. I would bear a son who would reign forever. I stood afraid. Someone closed the door, and I dropped the rag. E.M. Forster says, we must be willing to let go of the life we have planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. And so I wonder, what unexpected announcement in your life right now requires you to release control and embrace possibility? Thank you.
Nursery care is available, I believe, for children 0 to 5, but we're not doing the formal singing out this morning. In our pews, or most of them anyway, I think we ran out, so the couple back pews don't have them, and these 2 front pews don't have them. You'll find chimes that you've been hearing, and they are tucked into the pew racks, if you haven't found them. And these chimes, this might be a good time to explain to folks who may wonder about them, that these are an alternative to clapping or other expressions, although in this church we still allow clapping and other expressions of joys and sorrows. They are I heard you, I see you. I love you. I'm with you. And during joys and sorrows, that way is a really good time to ring them. Joys and sorrows is a time when we share what's going on in our lives with each other. While we're lighting 2 candles at the end that sound more political, this is not a time to talk politics or sports or a night out at the symphony. This is a time to talk about our losses and our celebrations, our births and our deaths, big and small, that we want to be held in the loving arms of community, for people to know what we are experiencing. And so if you have a joy or sorrow today, you are invited to raise your hand. Our ushers will bring a microphone to you. Our lay minister, who is not Mark Koenig, but rather Ann Wickham, will light the candles. Our lay ministers are people who assist me and are with me in the pastoral care work of this church. They're available for you to reach out to through caring@uucav.org anytime you need a listening ear or a helping hand.
Great, thanks, Cindy. As Cindy said, my name is Ann Wickham. I'm one of the 4 lay ministers here at UUCAV. I love saying that. We're here to support Cindy in all things pastoral care, and we're here for anything related to that you need. And there's an email address, I think, in your order of service as well as online. So I have 3 to share first before we pass the mic around.
So following our joys and sorrows, we're going to light 3 candles today. One candle that we've always lit is for those joys and sorrows that are left unspoken, that they too are lifted up in the beloved arms of community. And the second is for acknowledging that our church, our congregation, has a history and dedication to working for peace and ending the cost of war on our people, on our earth, on our society, on our psyche. And then lastly, that we here in Stowe acknowledge the tribes in our state that once inhabited this land and are still with us, the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We acknowledge them with sorrow that we sit here and stand here on the unceded territorial lands that were once theirs. We acknowledge this also with love and with joy, that we are working ever more in our faith and in our individual congregation to build bridges, build a deepening understanding of what it means to be stewards of this land, and to work ever more closely together. Our words for prayer or meditation, which will be followed by a time of silence and then singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. These words are In Between by Kate Walker. In between, liminal, the space where we wait, between moments, events, results, action, no action, to stand on the threshold waiting for something to end, and something new to arrive, a pause in the rumble of time. Awareness claims us alert, the shadow of something different. In between invitation and acceptance, in between symptom and diagnosis, in between send and receipt, of inquiry and question, in between love given and love received. Liminality, a letting go, entering into confusion, ambiguity, and disorientation. A ritual begun. Pause. Look back at what once was. Look forward into what becomes. Identity sheds a layer, reaches into something uncomfortable to wear. In between lighting of the match and the kindling of oil, in between choosing of text and the reading of words, in between voices and notes carried through the air into ears to hear, in between creation thrusts ever forward. Social hierarchies may dissemble and structures may fall. Communities may revolt or tempt trust. Tradition may falter or creativity crashes forward. Leaders may step down or take charge. The people may choose or refuse. In between storm predicted, the horizon beckons. In between, theology of process reminds us to step back. In between, where minutiae and galaxies intermingle with microbes and mysteries. In between, liminal, that space where we wait, look, listen, feel, breathe. Blessed be, and amen. Let us join together in hymn number 123, Spirit of Life in your great hymnals. I meant to say, I didn't put an asterisk by that hymn, so you weren't encouraged to stand, but you're always welcome to stand, and you're always welcome to sit during any hymn, at any time, throughout the service. If you feel the need to stretch and stand up, do what your body's telling you to do. That's okay. If you're blocking someone, step aside and move to the back or something, but other than that, live into your bodies the way you need to. I'm going to swap a couple elements here in the order of service and invite forward Morgan Wilson to share the reading, and then we'll follow that with our offering. That was my typo error to put them in that order, because it makes more sense. Music, words, music, words. Come on, let me get out of your way.
Okay. Unless you want to do. Reverend Bruce Taylor chose this piece and delivered it 4 weeks ago today at the final service in Hudson at the old church. Bless the space between us, adapted from John O'Donohue. Within the grip of winter, it was almost impossible to imagine the spring. The gray, perished landscape was shorn of color. Only bleakness met the eye. Yet beneath the surface of winter, the miracle of spring was already in preparation. The cold relenting, the seeds wakening up. Then, imperceptibly, somewhere one bud opens up, and the symphony of renewal is no longer reversible. The beauty of nature insists on taking its time. Everything is prepared, nothing is rushed. The rhythm of emergence is a gradual, slow beat, always inching its way forward. Change remains faithful to itself until the new unfolds in the full confidence of true arrival. It is there before we see it, and then we can look nowhere without seeing it. We find ourselves crossing some new threshold we had never anticipated. Like spring, secretly at work within the heart of winter, below the surface of our lives, huge changes are in fermentation. Then, when the grip of some long-enduring winter begins to loosen, we find ourselves vulnerable to a flourish of possibility, and we are suddenly negotiating the challenge of a threshold. At any time, you can ask yourself, at which threshold am I now standing? At this time in my life, what am I leaving? Where am I about to enter? A threshold is not a simple boundary. It is a frontier that divides two different territories, rhythms, and atmospheres. At this threshold, a great complexity of emotion comes alive. Confusion, fear, excitement, sadness, hope. To acknowledge and cross a new threshold demands courage and also a sense of trust in whatever is emerging. Suddenly, we stand on completely strange ground, and a new course of life has to be embraced. Especially at such times, we desperately need blessing and protection. That we are here is a huge affirmation. Somehow life needed us and wanted us to be. To sense and trust this primeval acceptance can open a vast spring of trust within the heart. It can free us into a natural courage that casts out fear and opens up our lives to become voyages of discovery, creativity, and compassion. Whatever comes, the great sacrament of life will remain faithful to us, blessing us always with visible signs of invisible grace. So may it be.
There were so many questions and details before the service that I forgot to ask this one of our incoming treasurer, Lee Cooprider. Is it true, Lee, that checks could be made out to UUCAV or to FPC or to UCMH and we would still be able to cash them? Not yet. The banking situations have not been fully swapped over. So make a check, if you're making a check, out to FPC, right? And that we know we can cash, okay? If you'd like to donate online, you go to uucav.org. That is switched over, and hit the donate button, or scan the QR code in the order of service. I think it still works. And always plates can take cash. In this church, in this congregation, we split our money every week between the work of this congregation and the work of one or more various organizations that we have voted to support. In the summer, there's a variety. So the process is we vote on them. The vote will be going out soon for the next year. And if it hasn't, maybe it has already. And we vote and we pick the top 10. I decide which months they go into during the 10 months of the non-summer. And then the rest of them, we split the plate between in the summer. So these are organizations that are meaningful to our members who have asked that you support them generously. Please do. Thank you. I realized that I was incredibly nervous today because this is my first sermon as a minister of this church, of this congregation. I'm the new minister here today. It's kind of customary when one is newly starting at a new church that you give a sermon that tells people a little bit about yourself. And so I've decided, enough talking about FPC, UCMH, and how we work together. You all know that, right? And instead I'm going to tell you a little bit about the church I served before I came here to Stowe, which was 8 years ago. And this is a story that is a bit of an analogy for what we're dealing with. So before I came here to Stowe, I served the Universalist Unitarian Church of East Liberty, a small rural Universalist church. It ranged in membership from 70 to 90 members for most of the time I was there, which was for 14 years. East Liberty was not the name of the town that the church was in. We were in the mailing address of Clark Lake, but we were across the highway from Clark Lake in unincorporated Liberty Township. East Liberty was the name of the school district, but it was a school district that no longer existed. It was a school district that was a one-room schoolhouse, and when that schoolhouse ceased to be a school, so did the district, and the school building became the RE wing of our church because it was next door to the church, and all the people on the township's planning board or whatever were members of the church. And they sold it to us for $1. The church was named Universalist Unitarian because it had been Universalist first, and so it wanted to keep Universalist first, by God. And I say by God literally and figuratively. The church was out in the fields below Jackson, Michigan, a small city where about half of our members lived. And the church had a cemetery on one side and a cemetery on the other, filled with our former members. It was, in many ways, in name and in location, a church that was looking more backwards to the past rather than forwards to the future. And its location was an homage to its history. Now, I loved that little church in East Liberty. I loved it so much that I served it for 14 years because I loved it so dearly. It had wonderful things about it. Other than the building and the name, it was a church that was open to change. It became a welcoming congregation in a city and county where it was the only church in the entire county that welcomed the LGBTQ community. It hung a Side with Love banner over its front doors when that was the thing. We were part of fighting for the city of Jackson to pass a non-discrimination ordinance for LGBTQ people. And we fought the United Way about pulling money from Planned Parenthood. And we taught sexuality education in that one-room schoolhouse. But members of that church would tell me proudly that that church had its delegates vote against merger when the American Unitarian Association and the Universalist Church of America merged to become the UUA. They voted to stay just Universalist. And there was a longing for that Universalist past. I get it. There are things to be missed from the merger of Unitarian and Universalism. But I would point out to them that at the time of that merger, 1961, there were 3 Universalist congregations in Jackson County, Michigan, and 2 of them did not join the UUA, and 1, East Liberty, did. 50 years later, 1 congregation survived as a Unitarian Universalist or Unitarian or Universalist church. The other 2 had dissolved or become other things. Merger saved us. It saved that little church of East Liberty in so many ways. You don't realize what you get from being part of a larger faith community until you're going it alone sometimes, I think. And maybe those 2 other congregations never did realize what they missed, or maybe they didn't care. Maybe they were too conservative theologically to risk becoming part of this creedless faith that would go on in the decades to follow to welcome not just the Christians and the theists that started with, but the atheists and agnostics and the Buddhists and the Taoists, and then finally in the 1980s, the pagans and the Wiccans, and so much more. And that one church that did stay in the merged denomination, that little church in East Liberty, it did become more open and more liberal than all the other churches of that county. And it also merged with the Unitarian church that was in Jackson, the Jackson Unitarian Fellowship, which had started off meeting in other spaces and then started renting our space and then eventually folded themselves right in. Seeing that story and how it had played out in this one county in Michigan, and how one small rural Universalist and then Unitarian Universalist or Universalist Unitarian congregation could survive, and survive still through the power of association, through the power of merger itself, it made me a believer. It made me a believer that we are stronger together, and I started to preach it. I preached it as my traveling sermon from church to church. I preached it at the district assembly and won an award for it. I preached it using Marge Piercy's reading about growing like the squash plants. I didn't know yet that that was a butternut squash. Growing like the squash plants that overrun the garden. Connections are made slowly, she says, but after the intermingling and the weaving together, the harvest will come. Too often in our churches, we're stuck in our individual silos, our steeples pointed at the sky and not realizing how it's the roots that keep the tree up. And those roots, they intermingle. In seminary, I spent one semester where I went out to California to live with Peter out there, and I got to go see the redwoods for the first time in my life. Those tall, majestic, extraordinary trees that grow so high that you're looking up at them and your mind is spinning with the wonder and majesty that this is something that grows from the earth. And you learn that the redwoods, they have a relatively shallow root system. How do those trees stay up? What keeps them up isn't the depth of their roots, but the interweaving of their roots, one with another. They form a web, a tapestry under the earth to keep them strong. And that root system, it allows one tree to feed another. If you have more nutrients and I have more water, we can share and keep each other strong. So I tried there in Michigan to get the larger congregations around me to see the mid-sized churches that were the next door churches in Michigan. Okay, I'm just going to do Michigan hand map. East Liberty is here. Next closest churches are Ann Arbor this way, Kalamazoo this way, and Lansing this way. But they're all a 45-minute drive. And it was hard to see how we could weave our roots together and support one another. When I got to East Liberty in 2004, there was no internet in that church building, and there was no internet church in that church building when I left 14 years later either. I used a dial-up modem with a free AOL account that would give me like 30 minutes at a time, and only half my board was on email. So communication was harder with that physical and social distance between my Universalist heritage church and those more urban and academic town Unitarian heritage ones. And it was harder as that small church minister to help the mid-sized churches see that we were truly stronger together. They didn't know they needed us the way I knew that we needed them and that we needed to work together. I didn't know their holes and their struggles well enough to tell them how reaching out to us could help and plug us in. I couldn't point to distinct things other than what I knew I personally had to offer through alliance and cooperation and being the one minister who really understood social media at the time in the area. I ran district-level workshops for that. But now I know. Now I know. And I can say now that if I was in one of those mid-sized churches next door, and it was East Liberty that came to me a few years ago and suggested merging with Ann Arbor or Lansing or Kalamazoo, I would be able to tell them, we have a more amazing coffee hour. And I would know that they had a history that I would tell them that they had the more amazing. The East Liberty, the small church, has an amazing coffee hour. And that small church had a history where they really knew how to honor their ancestors. And that small church, they had an ability to reach out and bring in working class and farming families into that rural Universalist church. And like it or not, they knew better how to bridge the political divide that we still struggle with in most mid-sized and more urban location Unitarian Universalist churches. I had one member in that church who was a fire and brimstone, hell-believing, non-Universalist Christian, and who wasn't a member for most of the time that I was there. He had come along with his Universalist wife who had grown up in that church, and he would sit there not agreeing every week. And he would tell me after every sermon that he liked my sermon, but it needed more fire and brimstone. It needed more hellfire and damnation. And this went on for years. And then his son, his gay son, who had inherited what he called the family curse, a history of familial depression, his son committed suicide. And I performed the funeral. And I was an agnostic Unitarian Universalist minister, but I was able to do a Christian funeral that respected his theology, but told him that his gay son was loved by God and was not in hell, not in that hell that he believed in, but was welcomed into heaven. And then he, after decades of not joining, he became a member of that church. And that church preached universal love and LGBTQ welcome, and always will. And still, he told me, I liked your sermon, but it didn't have enough hellfire and damnation. But he was grateful for our theology of love, and I could see it. That's something that little Universalist church could bring to a merger. That ability to hold in and circle in around it those with conservative values and hold them in love, an eternal, absolute, universal love nonetheless. I love to think that when Stowe and Acton merged, and when Marlborough and Hudson merged, that they found something so wonderful and treasured in the history of each other that it filled some hole, and they were indeed so much stronger together, that they found something that helped them each open their circle wider and let more love in. That Stowe saw in Acton that beautiful universalism that came from the legacy of Hosea Ballou, and that Marlborough and Hudson saw in each other their history of abolition work and their work for justice, and how they were roots that were already interconnected and woven together already. Now, though, after 8 years here in Stowe and 12 days here at UUCAV, I am more certain than ever that we are two faiths, two churches, four churches, more churches that have come together, and we're stronger together. And I read Marge Piercy differently now. She says, connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot always tell by looking at what is happening. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections, create real nodes, build real houses, live a life you can endure, make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in. A thicket and a bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us it's interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs. This is how we are going to live for a long time. For a long time. Not always. For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. Now, I know that we are still tangling and interweaving and taking more in. We're still in the boxes unpacking and the dust settling, but we are still growing like the squash plant, the butternut squash plant, and taking more sun in and using it to make sugar. But I know that as we're doing it, that we're doing the digging and the planting, but we're just starting to gather in that harvest. And it is so rich and so juicy and so full of that kind of dripping potential that I could only explain it to you by reading an entire Christina Rossetti poem like The Goblin Market, or showing you images of her pre-Raphaelite brother, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, of Persephone eating a pomegranate. It's that kind of lushness that we harvest starting now. It's that kind of lushness as we crack open that Stowe homegrown butternut squash of a future today. May it be so. So we're going to take a few more minutes here today, and we're going to do a blessing of our space together. And so Lindsay LaPointe and Cynthia Menard are going to travel with a camera and a flame from our chalice to different rooms in our building. And as they get to each room, we're going to say these words that are printed in your order of service. And we're not going to all the rooms in this big building. We're just going to a few symbolic ones. We're not even getting to Lower Fellowship Hall. But we're going to go some places where we see that interweaving and that bramble and thicket is happening here in Stowe. Let us start by blessing this sanctuary. Please join me in reading the words in your order of service. We bless this space and all of those who use it as a community of love, of hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May its walls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary. And may the spirit of the community bless the world.
Let us bless this space.
We bless this space and all those who use it as a community of love, hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May these halls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary. And may the spirit of the community bless the world. This hallway is our historical hallway right there. It has lots of images from the past of our church's more images will be joining in Halo soon. Next, they're heading into the room where all the boxes are still to be unpacked. Watch your calendar for a box unpacking day soon.
Let us bless the space.
We bless this space and all those who use it as a community of love, hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May these walls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary. And may the spirit of the community bless the world.
Let us bless this space.
We bless this space and all those who use it as a community of love, hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May these walls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary. And may the spirit of this community bless the world. Our vestry space there is open to the community throughout the week as a place where you can just gather, do some work, play a game, drink some coffee that you bring yourself. This is our community room.
We bless this space.
We bless this space and all those who use it as a community of love, hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May these walls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary. And may the spirit of the community bless the world.
Let us bless the space.
Bless this space and all those who use it as a community of love, hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May these walls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary. And may the spirit of the community bless the world. Into our fellowship hall, where there's only one thing in there so far because we can't clean for rentals, but there's a little thing that UCMH former members might recognize that's in there.
We can't find it, but we can do this room.
Okay, we'll find it. We'll have you on
You're somewhere. Trust me. We'll bless the space.
We bless this space and all those who use it as a community of love, hope, justice, and peace. May our community honor the past and embrace the future. May these walls welcome the stranger and provide sanctuary.
talk, we bless this space.
Add in these words now with me, with great rejoicing. Since you're already standing, let's sing our closing hymn, 2017, Building a New Way. This is the STLT. Let's just sing the first two verses. May we continue to build a congregation where every person is welcomed, where every person is loved, where our shared ministry brings justice, healing, and hope, and our centering love to the world. As we leave this first service united as one congregation, we go forth into a future unknown. But we do know this. We take our gratitude for our ancestors and our journey behind us. We take forward our faith in the beloved community as we face the future ahead. And we take with us our trust that the spirit of love that centers us together will continue to be that beacon of love to guide our way. May it be so. Do you know our closing song? Well, and I didn't put the words in our order of service. So here we go. Somebody lead us off and join in if you know it. With you